Every Monday at 9 a.m. sharp, I wired $700 to my parents' account. No fanfare, no note, just a silent transaction that kept the fragile truce alive. It was my ritual, my penance, my way of convincing myself the word family still applied. Then came the week they ghosted my daughter's birthday. No voicemail, no envelope in the mail, no trace of them. When I finally dialed, my father ES reply landed like a blade. "That girl isn't our concern." The air left my lungs. I didn't scream, I didn't beg. My thumb found the banking app, and I began erasing them, one canceled transfer at a time. 40 minutes in, my phone lit up with a single text that unraveled 8 months of careful pretending. For 240 consecutive days, my alarm buzzed at 8:45. I shuffled to the kitchen in scrubs, still carrying the scent of antiseptic, brew coffee strong enough to scald, and log in before the steam cleared. $700, routed to the same account I'd memorized as a child. I told myself it was duty. Truth was simpler. It was fear. Fear that if the money stopped, the last thread between us would snap and I'd have to admit never really held on. I worked doubles at the hospital, came home to a townhouse lit by one lamp and Ava's crayon masterpieces thumbtacked to every wall. While she slept, I balanced spreadsheets, rent, daycare, the envelope marked Mom and Dad. I paid their dentist, their plumber, the lien on their condo when the HOA threatened foreclosure. They never said thank you. They never had to. The silence was the contract. Ava only knew them from the framed photo I kept face down in a drawer. "Will Grandma and Grandpa watch me at the spring concert?" she'd ask, practicing curtsies in footed pajamas. I'd smooth her curls and promise, "We'll see, love bug." She accepted it the way children accept rain, temporary, unfair, but certain to pass. I still nursed the fantasy. Sunday dinners, my father pushing Ava on the tire swing he once hung for me, my mother teaching her to roll pie crust the way she never taught me. Instead, phone calls were inventories. "The roof needs patching," Mom would say. "Send an extra 200. I'd obey, then lie awake calculating how many night shifts that bought. Ava's 7th birthday fell on a Saturday bright enough to hurt. I rented tables, strung fairy lights, hired a face painter who turned cheeks into tigers and butterflies. Ava wore the lavender dress she'd begged for, twirling so the skirt belled like a parachute. "Are they coming?" she asked every 10 minutes, standing on tiptoe to scan the driveway. I kept refilling juice pitchers, rearranging cupcakes, anything to delay the answer. By 4 o'clock, the bounce house sagged, half deflated. The magician had packed up. The last balloon drifted into the maple and stuck there like a surrender flag. Ava sat on the curb, party hat askew, licking blue frosting from her wrist. "Maybe they got lost," she offered, voice small. I crouched, thumbing a smear of glitter from her chin. "Maybe," I echoed, the lie tasting like metal. That night I scrubbed streamers off the patio while Ava bathed. My phone buzzed against the counter. "Mom, 9:14 a.m. Wish Ava a happy birthday for us." No exclamation point, no emoji, no warmth. I stared until the screen dimmed, then dialed. Dad picked up on the 3rd ring. "Penelope, we're eating." "You didn't come," I said. My voice surprised me, steady, almost curious. "We were busy." "She waited all day. She made you a card with pipe cleaner flowers." A huff, the clink of silverware. "Look, we don't know her. She's your project, not ours." The sentence detonated quietly. I felt it in my molars, in the sudden hush of blood behind my ears. I hung up without another word. Back inside, Ava was asleep on the couch, one shoe missing, the birthday card clutched to her chest. I eased it free. Inside, wobbly letters. "To Nana and Pop Pop, I love you bigger than the moon." A single tear had smudged the O in moon. I opened the banking app. Recurring transfer, cancel. Confirmation. "Are you sure?" My thumb hovered, then pressed. One by one, I deleted every autopay tagged with their names: utilities, car insurance, the storage unit stuffed with my childhood. 40 minutes later, the final alert chimed. Scheduled payment removed. The phone buzzed again. Unknown number, but the preview showed Dad's scrawl. "You'll regret this. We're the only family you have." I stared at the screen until it went black, then carried Ava to bed. She stirred, murmured something about tigers and cake. I kissed the warm crown of her head and whispered, "We're enough." Monday dawned gray. My alarm buzzed at 8:45. I silenced it, poured coffee, and watched the steam curl like question marks. At 9 a.m., the account stayed still. No outgoing arrow, no familiar dip in the balance. The silence felt louder than any argument. I texted my brother, the one who'd moved to Seattle to escape the same gravity. I stopped the payments. 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Finally, good. Let them learn what zero feels like. By noon, Mom had left 4 voicemails, each angrier, each more desperate. I let them stack up like unread bills. When Ava bounded in from school waving a perfect spelling test, I lifted her high enough to touch the ceiling fan. "Mommy, can we get ice cream to celebrate?" That night, I packed the face-down photo into a box labeled Donate. In its place, I hung Ava's pipe cleaner card, the smudged O now dry and permanent. The house smelled like vanilla and possibility. For the first time in 8 months, Monday didn't begin with a subtraction. It began with us. The call came at 8:42 p.m., right when the dishes were done and the house smelled faintly of lemon soap. "Your daughter is irrelevant to this family." The man's voice was flat, the way people speak when they've rehearsed cruelty. I opened my mouth, but the line was already dead. The kitchen light buzzed overhead, too bright, turning the counter into a stage I didn't want to stand on. Behind me, the fridge door was a gallery of Ava's art. Crooked rainbows, a cat with 6 legs, our names in purple marker. I stared at them until the colors blurred. My pulse slowed to the rhythm of the ice maker dropping cubes. 1, 2, 3, like tiny coffins. I set the phone down as gently as if it might explode. "Okay," I said to the empty room, tasting the word for poison. It was bitter, but it didn't kill me. I drifted to Ava's doorway. She slept on her side, one sock missing, moonlight striping her quilt like prison bars she'd never deserve. I crouched, pressed my lips to the warm spot above her ear. "You are the whole sky," I told the dark. She sighed, shifted, and the stuffed giraffe tucked under her arm seemed to nod in agreement. I left the nightlight on, its plastic star casting constellations across the ceiling, and closed the door until only a finger of gold remained. Back in the kitchen, I opened the banking app the way a surgeon opens a chest. Recurring transfers glowed like veins. Rent for their apartment. Cable. The emergency credit card they maxed every December. And the big one, $700 every Monday, labeled family support. I deleted them the way you pull leeches, quick before they latch again. Each confirmation pinged like a snapped bone. When the screen finally read zero scheduled, I exhaled a breath I'd been holding since college. 43 minutes later, my phone lit up. "Mom, we're starving. Send Uber Eats, sesame chicken extra sauce." I read it twice, thumb frozen. 43 minutes to pivot from disowning my child to demanding dinner. I powered the phone off, slid it into the utensil drawer between the whisk and the loneliness. The drawer shut with the soft finality of a coffin lid. I didn't sleep. I sat at the table tracing circles in spilled salt, watching the hours bruise into dawn. At 3:14 a.m., I opened the drawer, turned the phone on, and blocked every number that had ever hurt me. The screen went black again, cleaner. Morning arrived sideways, light sneaking past the blinds like gossip. Ava padded in wearing dinosaur pajamas, hair electrified. "Pancakes?" she asked, climbing into my lap. "Blueberry or chocolate chip?" "Both." I flipped batter while she drew smiley faces on the fogged window. The landlord called at 9:03. "Ms. Hayes? Their rent bounced. Should I redirect the autopay?" "Remove me entirely," I said, voice buttery from practice. He hesitated. "They'll be served notice." "Let them," I answered, and flipped a perfect golden disc. Ryan rang at 10, sounding like he'd swallowed gravel. "I just saw Mom's live stream," he said. I froze, spatula midair. "She tagged the whole town, said you're unhinged and holding the family hostage with money." I laughed, one sharp bark that startled Ava into giggling. Ryan kept talking. "I've been Venmoing them $200 a month for years. They told me you'd stopped helping. Liars." "Join the club," I said. "I already canceled mine," he whispered. "Feels like stepping out of quicksand." We stayed quiet long enough to hear each other breathe free. By noon, the video had metastasized. Neighbors texted screenshots. Church ladies clutched pearls in the comments. Someone started a GoFundMe for my parents. Elderly couple betrayed by greedy daughter. It raised $42 and a coupon for lasagna. I refreshed once, closed the app, and took Ava to the park. We fed ducks stale bread and named the boldest one Justice. He quacked like he agreed. That evening, my cousin Maya FaceTimed from the lake house reunion no one had invited my parents to. She flipped the camera, Mom waving a tear-stained flyer that read, "Save our home." Dad working the crowd like a bad politician. Maya zoomed in on the donation jar, 3 quarters and a button. "Watch this," she mouthed. Uncle Ted snatched the jar, dumped the coins into his pocket, and announced, "Bars open, cash only." The crowd roared. My mother's face crumpled like wet paper. Maya flipped the camera back. "Karma's on the clock," she said, and hung up. Night 2 without their leash. I grilled cheese sandwiches, extra crispy, the way Ava likes the edges. We ate on the porch while fireflies stitched the dark. She asked why Grandma never visits. I considered lying, then didn't. Some people love from a distance that keeps getting bigger. Like astronauts? Exactly like astronauts. She nodded solemnly, took another bite, and the subject drifted away on buttery crumbs. Day 4. The eviction truck idled outside their building. I knew because Mrs. Delgado from 2B live-streamed it for the group chat, narrating like a wildlife documentary. Box labeled fragile, memories just hit the sidewalk. Nope, it's photo albums. Ouch. I muted the chat, poured lemonade for Ava, added extra ice that clinked like applause. Ryan showed up unannounced with pizza and a 6-pack of root beer. We sat on the living room floor building a blanket fort while Ava directed traffic. Inside the dim glow of a flashlight, he said, "They called me crying, said we're heartless." I handed him a root beer. "And?" "I told them heartless would have been letting them drown us forever." We clinked bottles. Ava crawled in, crown of couch cushions, and declared herself queen of the new kingdom. Population, 3. 1 week later, the apartment was empty, keys mailed to Richard with no note. Their church held a potluck to discuss the situation. Attendance, 6. Casserole count, 2. Someone recorded the prayer circle. It went viral under the hashtag #grandparents gone wild. Comments rolled in like thunder. Disowning a kindergartner is peak clownery. Hope the lease on that victim card isn't month to month. I didn't add fuel. Silence, I was learning, is a wildfire that needs no match. On the 10th night, I carried Ava S.'s latest drawing to the fridge. 3 stick figures under a yellow sun. Me, her, Ryan, no one else. I hung it dead center with the strongest magnet we owned. The old drawings I gently relocated to a shoebox labeled History. Then I opened the junk drawer, pulled out every spare key they'd ever copied, and dropped them into an envelope addressed to the landlord. Return to sender. That same evening, Ryan texted a screenshot. Their new Facebook profile picture, both of them on a Greyhound, suitcases like tumors at their feet. Caption, starting over with nothing but faith. Comments disabled. I showed Ava the bus's outer window. See the big one? That's adventure. She pressed her nose to the glass. Are they going to space? Somewhere even farther, I said. She waved anyway. We planted sunflowers along the back fence the next morning. Ava dug the holes. I dropped the seeds. Ryan watered. Dirt under our nails felt like baptism. By dusk, the first green spears were already pushing up, stubborn and sun-hungry. Ava named the tallest one Hope, the shortest one Justice. The one in the middle she simply called Home. Months later, when the sunflowers towered over her head, Ava asked if Grandma and Grandpa were ever coming back. I knelt so we were eye level. Some doors close so better ones can open, baby. She considered this, then shrugged. Can we have mac and cheese? I laughed until my ribs hurt, the first real laugh in years. We ate on the porch while the flowers nodded in the breeze, their faces turned toward a sky that finally, unquestionably, belonged to us. And somewhere down the highway, two people learned the hard way that love isn't a subscription you can guilt someone into renewing. It's a garden. Neglect it, and nothing grows. Tend it, and it feeds you for life. We chose seeds over chains. We chose us. And the harvest has only just begun. The clip was already racking up views, a shaky phone video shot in bright afternoon light, folding tables draped in checkered cloths, red Solo cups sweating in the heat. My parents held court near the grill, Mom's hands fluttering as she addressed the knot of cousins and aunts. Whatever Penelope's been saying, we've only ever wanted what's best for her. Her voice cracked on the last word, fragile as a paper plate. Then Lauren stepped forward, phone raised like a torch. Best for her, or best for your image. The screen blazed to life, Dad's voice spilling out, cold and unmistakable. That child is no part of this family. The backyard inhaled as one organism. Mom's mouth froze mid-plea. Dad's tan drained to ash. Somewhere down the block, a leaf blower droned, indifferent. Uncle James rose from his lawn chair, beer untouched. If that's your final word on your own blood, you can leave. No shouts, no drama. Just the quiet click of a door closing. They walked out between the picnic tables, past the potato salad no one would eat, past the cousins who suddenly found their shoes fascinating. Lauren lowered her phone. Someone whispered. She didn't even raise her voice. Another voice, softer. Didn't need to. I replayed it twice, then let the screen go dark. A laugh slipped out of me, small, tremulous, the kind that starts in the ribs and surprises the throat. Ryan rang an hour later. You okay? I'm unclenched, I said. They gift-wrapped their own exit. Truth's a hell of a courier, he answered. That night, I sat on the floor beside Ava's bed, her fingers curled around the ear of a threadbare rabbit. Rain ticked against the glass like a metronome counting down to something gentler. I opened my banking app, scrolled through 8 months of automatic transfers, $200 every first Monday, labeled Mom and Dad, love you. I tapped cancel recurring and felt the chain snap. Morning brought the local Facebook group ablaze. Someone had stitched Lauren's clip to the original live stream. The new file was titled Sunday Sermon, unedited. Comments poured in like floodwater. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Blood doesn't get a free pass to be cruel. That little girl deserves better. By lunch, the church scrubbed my parents from the website's Meet Our Leadership page. By dusk, the landlord had swapped the locks on their rental. Their few remaining defenders went radio silent. I posted nothing, liked nothing. I simply buckled Ava into her car seat and drove to the park. She knelt on the sidewalk with sidewalk chalk, drawing lopsided constellations. This one's for Uncle Ryan, she announced. The air smelled of wet asphalt and grape popsicles. Back home, a thick ivory envelope waited in the mailbox. Aunt Virginia's elegant script, Penelope. Inside, a single sheet. They mistook silence for permission. You mistook duty for love. Both lessons are expensive, but only one sets you free. That night she yawned through her prayers. Will Nana and Pop come for my birthday? They won't, honey. But Uncle Ryan's bringing the bounce house. Bounce houses are louder anyway. The next days unfolded like a held breath finally released. Notifications slowed to a trickle. My parents' profiles vanished. Poof. Digital exorcism. The church issued a statement about prayerful reflection. The town translated it as damage control. I didn't dance on any graves. I grocery shopped without flinching at the price of strawberries. I let Ava finger paint the hallway wall because the landlord said yes and because Joy should not wait for permission. Ryan showed up Saturday with paper bags and a grin that had forgotten how to apologize for taking up space. You're glowing, he said. Must be the absence of poison, I replied. Sunday, we piled into his truck and drove to Aunt Virginia's. Lemon meringue cooled on a rack. Lace curtains fluttered like surrender flags. She hugged Ava until the child squealed, then wrapped me in an embrace that smelled of talc and peppermint. Boundaries aren't walls, Penelope. They're doors you finally learn to close. Over coffee, she told stories I'd never heard. About the cousin who forged her own path in 1972, the uncle who mailed back his inheritance with a note that read, "Keep the money, lose the leash." Ava colored at the table, humming. When we left, Aunt Virginia pressed another envelope into my palm. Inside, mercy without backbone is just slow-motion surrender. Weeks slid by. The house no longer echoed with phantom arguments. I stopped checking my phone for apologies that would never arrive. Ava learned to snap her own barrettes, to pour milk without a flood. One evening she asked, "Mommy, are we still a family even if it's just us? We're the best kind. Chosen, not chained." She nodded solemnly, then blew a noodle off her spoon. Some nights I stand in her doorway and watch her breathing under the glow of a star-shaped nightlight. The silence isn't absence anymore. It's insulation. My parents chose the echo of their own righteousness. I chose the sound of Ava's laughter bouncing off these walls like sunlight. If you've ever closed a door and felt the draft of freedom slip in, you know the sound it makes. Soft, steady, final.